Hey, this is All Things Cheryl. Welcome to another review and a recap on Queen Sugar, Season 2, Episode 6, Some of the Elders. We open up with Ralph Angel and Nova paying homage to their father. Basically, Ralph Angel is really feeling some kind of way is because Charlie is not there with them when it comes to paying homage to the father. But really, Charlie is at the bill, basically getting ready for the grand opening. Not only is she getting ready for the grand opening, but she is also being interviewed by one of the magazines. And I think the title of the magazine is The Esquire. And Charlie is familiar with the Esquire, but the reporter that the Esquire sent, she is not familiar with him. So Charlie comes in, Dollar lets Charlie know that the reporter is here. And so he gets right to the point as to the reason why he's there. He's there to basically report on the bill, and really there's also, I think there's an undertone as to really why he's really there. So while he's there, we see that, I may skip some stuff, but we see that Ralph Angel and Blue has basically went to the store to purchase some milk and some other stuff. And we run into the young lady in episode 1. Remember, in episode 1, Ralph Angel had set Blue at the playground while he went in to rob this convenience store. Well, this convenience store, the woman was there at this particular convenience store where Ralph Angel and Blue basically was going. And the counter, the sales clerk recognized Ralph Angel and told Ralph Angel that I lost my job because of you. And so you are a liar. And so Blue was kind of wondering. He picked up Blue and he put money on the counter and told Blue, come on, let's go. So he wanted to leave before the lady really recognized him as the person who robbed her. So we go on to that scene. Then we go back to the scene where with the reporter from Esquire is still digging into Charlie and still asking Charlie personal questions. Not only asking personal questions, he also went into her past. And we go into, I believe, episode 2 and 3, where he tapped a little bit about the scandal and that Davis was almost was a part of the scandal, but Charlie let the reporter know that he was not a part, and he basically got off board. But the reporter, he was really getting on my nerves. But the reporter kept on digging. And so we got to a point where Charlie was kind of sort of like, look, what are you looking for? I really don't want this to be about me. I want this to be about my father, and I want this to be about the legacy, and I want this to be about the bill, not about me. This is what the article want. I would like for it to be. So we go on to probably see Dollar. Dollar is doing, a really good job as being Charlie's assistant. She's getting kind of like flustered a little bit because everything is happening so quickly. But she's basically doing a really good job. But to one point, she spilled some coffee on her shirt, on her blouse that she wore when she first started to work. And so Dollar comes in and Charlie sees that she's frustrated, and that was a good segue because the reporter and Charlie had to kind of stop. And so Charlie told her to look, go into my closet. You don't need to explain. Go into my closet and see if you can find something. So we go in and we see that Dollar is basically going into Charlie's closet, and she's basically looking around. And at that time, Micah had came in to get her jacket, and so she basically got the jacket and helped Malcolm put the jacket on, and then he was getting ready to put a tie on too. And so Dollar took the tie and tied the tie, put the tie together and everything. And so Micah asked Dollar a question. He said, "Well, where did you learn how to tie a tie?" And Dollar said, "Oh, that was in the days of my cotillion." So apparently, it seems that I believe Dollar is coming from a well-to-do family, and by her being in the closet, that brought back some of the memories and some of the luxuries and things that she was basically used to. In the meantime, we go on and we see a scene. I maybe skip some stuff, but we see a scene where we see Nova, we see Auntie Vi, and I think it was Nova and Auntie Vi. And this time, this particular scene was basically Nova was paying homage to her mother and her father, but mainly to her mother. And it seems like some of the things that Nova does is stemming from her mother, because she made this statement in saying that her mother did not want a stone or a graveyard stone or anything like that. So her mother, it seems like Nova's mother was more so of a earthy kind of Tony kind of mother. And it seems like this is where Nova has a lot of traits from her mother. So we also go in to see where we see that we're back at the mill again. And this time when we're back at the mill again, the mill is getting ready to do its grand opening. And before it's getting ready to do its grand opening, we see Ralph Angel, we see Blue, but mainly we see Ralph Angel. And Ralph Angel sees Dollar, and Ralph Angel says, he looks at Dollar and he notices that Dollar has one of Charlie's dress on. And so Dollar tells Ralph Angel, "Look, I spilled coffee on my shirt, and so she told me to just go in and find me something to wear." And so basically that's what I did. And Ralph Angel gets into this thing, he said, "Oh, now you're wearing her clothes." But he kind of like put his, I don't know, his madness or his irritation for his sister aside, and says, "Well, you look really nice in the dress." And so they went off and sat down and things like that. And so while we are at the mill, we notice that the mill kind of sort of had an accident, and it got a shortage at the mill while Charlie was making her speech, or after they made this speech. We hear this sound, this siren sound. And so what had happened is that some of the cane and everything had got jammed into, I guess, the mill, where it got caught up, and it got caught up. And so Charlie came in and saw that Remy and I guess the engineers and stuff was there taking care of the issue. In the meantime, Charlie was basically really going in, and she was like, "Well, what's going on? What's happening? What's breaking down? Why do we have this breakdown on the day of the grand opening?" You can see that Charlie was like really like, "I don't need this. I don't need all of this issue." And then at the same time, this reporter, who I cannot stand, because I kind of think that he's digging for something, and before he was asking all of these questions before they had the grand opening, he Charlie was really talking to him a little bit, and so he had his recorder with him, but he cut his recorder off, and so some of the things that Charlie said would not be on the recorder. But we have to watch out for reporters. When they cut things off, that means that you cannot say it was on the record. This was the statement that was off the record. And so if he does something, it was supposed to be off the record, and Charlie can basically go in and sue him if he says something that was not on the record, and the things that she shared to him with him was off the record. So we go on, and so the reporter just happened to come in the other part of the meal and see Charlie going in and asking this question. Now that's why I said that Dollar is really, really doing real good as far as trying to be, Charlie's assistant, because Dollar stepped in and said, "Look, yo, you got a roll. You can't be in here. This is off limits to you." And so he basically left, but he was able to see the breakdown that Charlie basically went through when everything started going wrong. And Remy and everything was trying to tell Charlie, "Look, kind of calm down. It's going to be okay. We got it." At that particular time, we see Nova. Nova comes in and she assists her sister, being the calm type of person that Nova is. She basically was able to get Charlie to calm down and to know that it's going to be okay. They let the engineer and Remy and them handle it. They got it. And so Nova was able to calm Charlie down and everything. So then we go on and we see the reporter. Now this reporter is really getting on my nerves, guys. This reporter is digging deep down and trying to get, a story. And the type of story he's trying to get is that he's trying to get a human size to actually see the various sides of Charlie, because he even told Charlie earlier in the interview before Dollar came in with the coffee on his shirt, that I'm trying to get a human story. I'm trying to get the person, the woman of this, the woman who's getting ready to open up a all black meal, and this woman who's getting ready to do this is a black woman, and I need to really get to the story. And so when the reporter came back after they kind of sort of got the meal under control and everything, he said, "I saw you." And she said, "Well, how much of it did you see?" He said, "I saw enough of it." He said, I've seen enough to know that you are a micro person who likes to be in command of everything." And so Charlie said, "Look, this is not about me. This is about the legacy of my father. I do not want this story to be focused on me. I want this to be focused on the legacy of my father." She says, "Look, got a deal for you." And this is when I was saying to myself, don't do it, Charlie. Don't do it. I don't know what you're about to do. I don't know whose back you are about to kick in and everything. Because you know that Charlie, she's a wheeler and a dealer. I'm saying don't do it, Charlie. But basically what she was telling the reporter, she says, "Look, I will give you an exclusive." And the reporter looked at her and said, "What kind of exclusive? What are you talking about?" She says that I'm divorcing Davis. It's not final, but when it does to become final, I will give you the exclusive. I'm saying to myself, you just sold your soul. You just wrote a raw deal for yourself. But then in a way, I don't think so. Because basically Charlie is really, beginning to see, where she is with herself, with their, with her son, and with all the other things that, basically is beginning to take place. But also, before we go into it, Charlie had a conversation with Remy. And basically, prior before the opening and everything, Charlie told Remy, she says, look, I have taken some advice from a friend. And so Remy said, what kind of advice? She says, well, I've started seeing a therapist. Something that a friend started or suggested that, I should do. And Remy looked at her and he shook his head. He was smiling. He was like, oh, really? Really? And she says, yes. So we see that the celebration and everything is basically over with. Then we see the whole complete family together. And this time when we see the whole complete family, no, let me go back. In the meantime, we go back to the opening of the meal. We see Aunt Vi and Blue basically looking at, I guess they made a collage of her brother and all, everything that he did as far as owning the farm. And so Blue tells his aunt, he says, I miss my uncle. And so Aunt Vi says, yes, I miss him too, also too. And so we go into a scene, and so we see that the celebration and the opening is over, but we see a scene where is that they're at a graveyard and we see Nova, paying homage to her father. And we see everybody at there. We see everybody. We see Charlie. We see Vi. We see Hollywood. We see Darla. We see everybody. And so they're basically paying homage to their father at the graveyard because he does have a tomb there, unlike Nova's mother, who didn't really want a tomb for her. She was like more so of a natural kind of person. And so we go to a scene where we see that everybody, I don't know, for some reason the writers, they got this genre going where is that they're like sitting at dinner tables and they're getting ready to have dinner. It reminds me of what's that police show I look at? I think it's called Blue, where all of the family is like they're policemen, and we see scenes where they're always sitting down and talking about how their day was at the dinner table. And this what reminds me, because we always see them in a certain scene sitting and eating after a particular holiday or a celebration. This particular holiday and this particular celebration was for the opening of the meal. And so everybody's sitting around and the food is looking good. And Aunt Vi asks Ralph Angel to, bless the food and, everything that has taken place. But before then, remember guys, I want you to bring you back. Ralph Angel was in a store with Blue. And the woman almost remembered Ralph Angel. So to kind of bring you guys up to speed. And so Ralph Angel was around making, trying to bless the food. And Ralph Angel said, bless the food that we're about to eat, man, whatever. And then he went on to say that my father always wanted me to be the man, and that he always wanted me to be truth, to be authentic about who I was. And so Ralph Angel says, I have to say this. And so that's when Aunt Vi says, she calls Ralph Angel. She says, Ralph Angel. And so Ralph Angel says, I really haven't been authentic with you all. I really haven't told you all the whole truth. And so that's when Charlie said, the whole truth about what? The whole truth about what? And so Ralph Angel said that I found a lockbox that my father had, and in that lockbox was another will. He had revised that will, and in that revised will, he did not leave everything to you guys. He didn't say it like that, but he said he did not leave everything to you guys. He left everything to me. And then, so that's when Charlie went into her feelings. She was like, what do you mean everything? And now prior before that, Nova had basically went into the office where her father and Ralph Angel and them do their work and keep the books and everything. And Nova had found a check that was worth $600. And Nova made it aware to Ralph Angel. She says, look, I found $600, check and $600. And then that's when Ralph Angel said, well, we need that $600 because the refrigerators break it down. But to give you guys some, what I'm about to tell you, and so Nova said, yeah, our father did everything basically for you. And then Ralph Angel said, what are you talking about? Because Ralph Angel and them had no idea that Nova had did some investigation, being that she's a reporter the way she is, a Snoop Dogg the way she is, an investigator, just like this reporter is investigating on Charlie. She found out that her father was not working the farm. He was moonlighting to keep the farm abreast, to keep the farm, up, and to keep the farm going so he would not lose that farm. So basically, that's basically what a lot of self businesses, people who go in business for themselves, they have to, in order to keep the float of their business and in order to keep the float of their dream, sometimes you have to do what you have to do to keep food on the table. And then they found out that his father was a janitor. And when Charlie found out that her father was a janitor, she kind of sort of got upset about it. You had to excuse me, guys. Remember, I have real bad allergies. And so she was totally upset. And then that's when Nova, and then that's when Hollywood and Vi was telling Vi to basically stay out of it. Don't get into it. Let them kind of deal with what they got to deal with. And so that's when Ralph Angel got into it and said that, look, the land belongs to me. It's not really your land. But before that, guys, let me jump back. Remember, the whole family was at the graveyard. Blue was also at the graveyard too. And he had Kenya with him. And so he basically dropped Kenya on the ground. So I'm thinking Blue is getting ready to give Kenya to Grandpa. But no, he didn't do that. He basically picked Kenya up, and then we go and we find out that Blue is somewhere separate in another part of the house where the dinner is being served. And Ralph Angel goes in and asks Blue and says, well, Blue, what's going on? And so we see Blue has like a curtain over him, and we see his feet, and we see Kenya. And so Ralph Angel goes up and he says, well, what's going on, Blue? And Blue says, this is not Kenya. And Ralph Angel said, what do you mean it's not Kenya? This is not Kenya. He said, well, how do you know it's not Kenya? He says, because I put a mark on her. I put a birthmark on her. And Ralph Angel says, where did you put a birthmark? And so Blue shows Ralph Angel where he basically put that birthmark on you. And so Blue says, well, what did I do? What happened to her? And Ralph Angel says, Kenya has been thrown away. And so Blue says, why was Kenya thrown away? Did I do something? Was I bad or something? And Ralph Angel says, no. And then he picks up Blue. And Blue holds on to it tight to his father's neck tight. And then he says, why did that lady in the store call you a liar? And so that's when Ralph Angel says to Blue, I'm changed. I'm no longer being a liar. I'm telling the truth. So this is where we see where we find out that Ralph Angel, let loose everything, and he basically let the family know that his father left the land to everybody, and he's been keeping it to himself. He only did what his aunt told him to basically, if you're going to say something about this land, be ready for the repercussion. And we are seeing what the repercussion is going to be. In some way, I don't know how I'm feeling about this scene. It's because it almost seems as if everybody was like jumping on Ralph Angel because he wasn't really upfront from the beginning. So, but my thing with this, if he was upfront from the beginning, would Charlie still be the way she is? Would she still be the controlling young woman driven that her mother had made her into? And so we see the dynamics between all three of them. In my mind, all three of them are controlling. And this is where the guilt and everything is coming into, is because this is when they started saying, well, you wasn't there, you were in the Ralph Angel said you wasn't there for dad and everything. You were busy in California doing your thing, becoming a star and everything. No, well, you were like 20 minutes away, and you didn't really do your thing. You were so busy saving the world, talking about incarceration, and you really wasn't. And then you had a brother who was basically incarceration, so you really wasn't really into it either. And so we find that the dynamics it's really beginning to kind of like break loose. And it wasn't really, this episode was good is because we are getting ready to see some really stuff that's really getting ready to break loose, because I believe that they're getting ready to introduce Charlie's mother, and we know that Charlie's mother is going to be a white woman. She's going to be a white woman. If not a white woman, she's going to be damn near close to it. And we see the dynamics between, we see that Ralph Angel's, the things that he did in episode 1, 2, and 3, that's beginning to pop back up. It's because we have this woman, when Blue and him went into the store, the convenience store, to get some stuff, the same woman that Ralph Angel robbed in the first episode noticed him. So we see that. Then we notice that in Nova kind of situation, we're not really true, but I think what it is that Nova had this thing. She was dating, Calvin, who was a white man. And now we see that she is beginning to have feelings for, the Robert, the professor, who's coming from Atlanta. And we don't know that, remember, like in episode 4, 5, 6, that Nova was basically having serious issues where every time we looked up, or every time we would go, on to the next day or on to the next week, we would see Nova popping up. She was popping out these white guys 24/7. But now it seems like it's going to be a different kind of thing. And I don't know if she's going to abuse the professor, or she's going to, we don't know, her feelings and everything. I think she's going to start revealing all of her feelings and everything that's going on. So episode 6 was very good. And in the meantime, before I get to the closing, Hollywood wanted Vi to basically stay out of it. And he wanted her to learn how to allow the kids, these adults, to kind of like work out their own issues. But of course that did not happen. Being the matriarch, that she is, she had to grab all three of them and tell them, because they were getting ready to roll, they were getting ready to jet. And Vi said, nah, nobody's going nowhere. You guys are going to stay here, and you guys are going to work this out between the two of them. This episode was very, very good. We also going to have to deal with the fact that we don't know exactly how Blue is going to deal with the fact that Kenya is not the real Kenya. Is he going to keep the second one, or is he going to we don't know how that episode is going to develop. I'm curious as to see how the writer is going to write how Blue deals with the fact that Kenya is no longer a part of his life. Now there is some connection. I can see the connection. I can see the connection coming together. The fact that Dollar gave Blue that doll representing her is because Kenya was clean. Kenya did not have an addiction. That was something for Blue to hold on as far as the image of Dollar is concerned. Dollar is beginning to step up. Dollar will be celebrating 2 years of sobriety, and she has invited she invited Charlie to come to her celebration. At the very end, Charlie wanted to celebrate that they did pull it off, even though they did have some snafu, and she bought a bottle of wine and some wine glasses and to get ready to celebrate. But then she realized that Dollar is really trying to work her addiction, and she apologized, and then she put the wine back, and then she bought in some tea. They had some tea and everything. But in the meantime, guys, I want to say this is all things Cheryl, peace and love. There's a couple of things. Love rules the world. I wanted to show this today. Love rules the world. So in the meantime, this is what I need, and this is what I would like for you all to do for me. I like for you to click. I like to subscribe, and I like for you to share. In the meantime, we'll see you next week with episode 7. And it's getting ready to come to a head. It's getting ready to come to a head. It's because we're getting ready for Greenleaf. And you know how Greenleaf ended. You guys know how Greenleaf ended. And I am going to be doing a review and a recap from the very beginning. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you peace and love. Until next week, or until I do another All Things Cheryl. Peace. Love rules the world.